Well guys, we're already back with a little quick video on the Harley. I do have an issue with my throttle cable. I'm going to try to adjust that and get that situated tonight. And I'm going to show you guys how I do it, what I do to fix it, and hopefully I can fix it. So we're going to start diagnosing and trying to figure out what we need to do to get my throttle cable to quit sticking. Basically, there's no snapback in the throttle. See how it gets stuck? That would be very dangerous out on the road. Throttle will be getting stuck. Usually it's supposed to have a nice snapback. So I'm gonna need to adjust the cables here and maybe even put some lube down in there so the cable moves freely. All up here. I guess me in shorts period is not a good look. Just gonna move the Harley front right center here. View of the old girl. Nice. Alright, so basically I already kind of messed with it a little bit. I put everything back to where it was just so I can make a little video on what I was doing. So basically your adjustment's going to be hiding behind these two little rubber boots. You're going to have two cables, one's a push and one's a pull. Obviously the throttle, you pull it back. So the top one's obviously going to be your pull throttle and your push is going to be the opposite cable. So basically you're going to want to use your 5/16 wrenches. I just have two 5/16 wrenches and there's a little lock nut on here. A little lock nut right here. Obviously it's already broken free, but this guy will be backed up against this adjustment here. So you're just going to want to back off the lock nut. That way you can rotate the top part freely. And in turn, threading it down will give you a bunch of slack, and threading it up will tighten the cable. We're just gonna basically give the cables as much slack as possible. I'm gonna try to lube up the cables with some of this. It's basically silicone spray, but it says for garage doors, lubricant, whatever. So this stuff should work. We're gonna give it a shot. If it doesn't, then this will be a fail video. I've never actually used it before. I think the last time I used any lube at all was WD-40, and obviously that didn't last very long because here I am, I'm having the same problem. But this is actually the worst it's been, so maybe there's some dirt or debris up in this area. We're gonna pop this cover off, take a look under there, see what we're getting into here. I'm gonna be using a T25 Torx here. That's what Harley chose to use, so that's the size you're gonna need. I just bought a cheap set on Amazon. I can link it down below if you'd like. So on the bottom side you're also going to have a screw. That one was hiding down below. So we should just remove those two, the top and the bottom. And now this little cover will come right off. Alright, so this just pops off apparently. It'll give you access to the actual cable mounting little assembly in here. So there's not much slack on this wiring harness for these switches. Well, I think I'm just going to go for it. I did put a rag down below just to catch any residual coming through. Got my silicone spray ready to go. Hopefully it works out for me. I think I'm just gonna start right down in the hole here, directly down in there. Let's do one and then I'll show you guys. See, might get a little messy. Just gonna let gravity do the work. Hopefully it will just feed on down there. Gonna do it until we see some popping out the bottom side. And we'll call this lube job a done deal. Alright, well that didn't take long to go through the whole cable. Maybe a couple minutes and I'm already seeing some residual coming down. So that tells me the lube is making its way all the way through. So that's cool, that's cool. That's promising. Let's make sure this stuff doesn't get everywhere. Try and keep it manageable. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other cable. Then we'll finalize our adjustment on the throttle spring back and our slack in the throttle. So we'll get that squared away. And hopefully we'll have a nice smooth throttle again. Basically I'm just going to slide it through here. Stick the straw in there. Someday it'll focus, but you'll get the idea. Just let gravity do the work. Oops. Go real slow at it or else it'll just start to overflow up top. And I don't want to get any of that silicone stuff up in here. At least not with the wiring and stuff. So we're going to keep it under wraps and just be nice and slow with it until it makes its way all the way down. I find it a little bit easier for the push cable to just pop it out the bottom here and just go directly in the hole. It's going to go super slow. It's going to be a long, slow process. There are special tools that you can use, or at least one special tool that makes this process a lot quicker. But as you can see, I'm not going that route. But hopefully I'll get the same results in the end. It's just going to take a little longer to get there, and I'm okay with that. Well, hell, I'm going to use a rag and just kind of cover up the straw as I squirt it in there. Maybe it'll kind of speed the process up a little. But like I said, you know, either way you can do it. Just get the lube down the cable. That's all we're trying to do here. Alright, I'm going to put this little cover back on up top, throw the 2 screws in, and then I'm going to start adjusting my cables. Okay. So obviously we got way too much slop in there, way too much slop. So I'm going to back either one of these. So I'll just start with the... Ooh, we're already getting some snapback, look at that. That's the satisfying sound that you're looking for. Ooh, yeah. Obviously way too much slack still, so we're just gonna start tightening the pull or the push. I just kind of do both of them and just feel it as I go. Way too much slack there, so let's go on ahead and bring up the pull cable. So you just thread it up. A little bit of play. Go ahead and thread up the push cable as well. The adjustment was pretty far up to begin with, so it goes to show you that these cables may be a little worn out, a little stretched out, but I mean all I care about is that noise right there. No more sticky throttle. Yeah buddy. You want to be sure that your butterfly valve down at the bottom, the little flap after your air intake, is opening up all the way. It's one thing I should have checked for when I took off my air filter the other day. You might be getting robbed of your horsepower. If the flap doesn't open up all the way, then you're losing out on, you know, air that could be into the engine and therefore giving you more power. Well, for the purpose of this video, I went on ahead and took off my air filter again. And this is the little butterfly valve that I'm talking about. You can clearly see that that is not open 90 degrees. That is not open 100% at all. I actually did this when I first got the bike. I noticed this right away. I was like, wait a minute, there's got to be an adjustment to freaking open up that valve a little more so I can get some more power out of this thing. All it took was a little adjustment up top, and I had that valve opening up all the way. In order to get that valve to open up a little more, you're going to want to actually adjust your pull cable here. So if I hold it full throttle, as you start to tighten the cable, the flap will in turn start to open up a little more. Now we're super tight up here, so now we're going to have to back off our push cable. Give that some slack, so we're going to thread it down. So now let's take a look here. Let's do full throttle all the way open. Now that flap is getting pretty close to flat, so we can still adjust it a little more, I think. I'm definitely glad that I pulled off the filter, that way I can see the flap. And now I got that thing opening up full throttle all the way, 100%, which is exactly what I want. Full throw on the throttle, full snapback, a little bit of play. I'm happy with this adjustment, that's for sure. I guess that's a little brief rundown on what I did to adjust my throttle. Lubed it up, got it adjusted properly. I'll be back on the road in no time. Another quick note is to make sure that your throttle cable functions the same when you turn all the way left and when you turn all the way right. I had mine adjusted when I turned all the way right. I didn't get that snapback that I'm always looking for, so that would have been very bad. So definitely a quick tip, important note, be sure that your throttle acts the same all the way around, left and right. And lastly, don't forget to tighten back up your jam nuts, that way your adjustment stays where you want it. And don't forget your little protected boots to go over the adjusters. Let me know if you guys have any Harleys or into bikes or whatever, you know. I mean, this is kind of a whole new little chapter on the channel, which is kind of cool. Just a little video on how to adjust your throttle cable and how to prevent it from getting stuck. You want to hear that snapback. And also showed you guys how to adjust your flap to get the full potential out of your motorcycle. So, I guess that's going to do it for this quick little throttle adjustment, throttle lube, cable walkthrough, how-to DIY. It was a great success. Glad we figured it out. And hopefully you guys can use this on your Harley or in your motorcycle. And maybe you guys already knew this, but I'm here to teach. I'm here to help people. If you guys don't know, let me go through it. I'll learn for you, and then you can learn from my mistakes, and I'll make videos on it, and we'll go on with our life. So we'll see you guys later. We'll talk to you soon. See you in the next one. Ciao.
Chick's first burnout. What do you think of that? I brought him up well.